Hey guys, so I am a self-taught full-stack developer and I've never really needed to use vibe coding before, so I've never looked at any of the tools, but recently I've been seeing a lot of them on YouTube and TikTok. So I just got a bit curious and I decided to try one for myself, and that's basically what this video is. We're going to be trying a vibe coding tool, and this one is called Cline. Now the reason why I chose this over the other tools is because this is basically free and I don't really plan to use this in the future. It's just for this video basically. And yeah, let's get into this video. So firstly, before we install Cline, which is a VS Code extension, I went ahead and signed up on OpenRouter here. So I just clicked sign in up here and it allows you to sign in with Google. There's nothing difficult about it. You just click sign in with Google. You pick your Google account and it's all set up. Yeah, so now let's go ahead and install Cline here, which is our vibe coding tool. So I've got two projects here opened. This one is just an empty folder where I'm going to ask Cline to just write basic HTML, CSS and JavaScript. And then this one over here is a React project. So I want to see how it works when there's a lot of files and folders to deal with. So for now, let's work with this empty folder where I'm just going to get it to write a basic project for me. I'm going to right click, open in terminal, and then open this up in Visual Studio Code. Okay, so I want to go ahead and install the Cline extension here. Okay, and once that's done installing, let's head to the Cline tab here, which I just added. And in here, it gives us some information and options here. They say we can get started for free using Cline's AI models, but obviously there's going to be a lot of restrictions on that since it's free, and there's probably a paid option you're going to have to do later. I'm going to select use your own API key here. And down here I'm going to select OpenRouter, which is the account I made earlier, and here it's asking for OpenRouter key. Now you can just click this button down here and it will connect you there. I'm just going to get the key myself though. So I'll open OpenRouter here and I'll select keys here and create API key. So I'm just going to name this Cline here and I'm just going to leave this blank. It's asking if we want to limit how much this API can spend. Okay, so here's the key. I'm just going to blur this out in the video, but basically I just want to copy this and head back to Visual Studio Code and paste that in. Okay, and now let's hit this let's go button. Okay, it looks like everything is set up correctly. Let's ask it to build us a landing page using HTML, CSS and JavaScript here. Okay, so I just said build a landing page using HTML, CSS and JavaScript for a new Pokemon game. And while this is working, let's look at some of the options here. So up here it says the task that we're currently doing, and then it says how much this will cost us in the API. Also, I know there's an error down here. I think I forgot to pick the model somewhere. So let me go ahead and find where that is. It's right here where we need to pick the model here. So I'm going to select the X on this and look for one of the models that are cheaper here. Okay, so I've just selected the model there. Let's save this and head back. And I'm going to copy the same prompt that I asked it first. Actually, I think there's a retry button somewhere here. Okay, so I'm not sure what happened there. I just clicked the close button up there and we're going to restart. So I said build a landing page using HTML, CSS and JavaScript for a new Pokemon game. Let's run this and see what it gives us. And yeah, up here it says the cost for our current model that we're using. The model I'm using is free, so this shouldn't increase. and then down here it's keeping track of the tokens in the context window. So each model has a limit to how much it can keep in its memory at a time. For this model it's 163k, it looks like. And yeah, now down here it's thinking and it's telling us what it's doing down here. So it's creating a new file, index.html, and I think that's what's happening on this side. And then at the bottom here it says auto approve, so let's look at what this is. Okay, so I think in here it's giving us different options that we can either manually approve or set the Cline to auto approve for us. So for example here, if we say read all files, then Cline just by default has permission to read anything in our project. And there's probably an option for write files and stuff like that here as well. I'm not going to play with this because I don't know what most of these are, but maybe we'll come back and look at it soon. Yeah, and down here it's saying Cline wants to create a new file. So it says either save or reject. I'm going to hit save here. And yeah, it looks like that file that was on the right hand side here was what it was working on. And when we hit save here, it actually adds that file into our project. So I'm just going to go into the folder view here to see what it created so far. It's just that HTML file. I'm curious to see whether it also generates other files as well, or if it just edits the file that we're working in. And yeah, it looks like it's making some CSS as well now. So it does look like it can create multiple files and just go through all of them. Let's head back to Cline. I'm going to hit save here. It says Cline wants to create a new file, style.css. Let me save this. Okay, looks like some basic CSS here. Let me just look into that HTML file to see what it did. Okay, and it looks like it's still coding here, some JavaScript. And yeah, that's a short script, it's done. Hit save. Let's look inside of that HTML file what it actually did. So it looks like it created a header section here and then a main section. Yeah, see here now Cline wants to execute this command, start index. I'm not sure why it wants to do this. I don't have anything on my computer that would run index if I type this in the terminal, but I'm going to hit run here just to see what it wants to do. Okay, looks like I actually did have a command to run that file. So yeah, this is what it created. Notice here the links for the images are not working, but the actual design of the page is pretty good. I'm just going to tell it the image links are not working and see if it can fix that. I think start is a command in the terminal. I might be wrong here. Let me type in start here and see what it is. Yeah, it looks like start is a Windows command. I just didn't know it exists, but anyways, let's head back here. It looks like it replaced those images here, so I'm going to hit save here. And now it's probably going to ask us to run it again. Okay, let's hit this run command here. And yeah, it looks like it gave us some images which have nothing to do with Pokemon here. But we can always go back and replace those images ourselves. I don't think Cline or the model we gave it knows where to find proper Pokemon images. So there's still some work I guess vibe coders have to do if they want to generate entire websites using this. I'm not going to ask it to fix the images again because it's probably just going to give us more random images here. Let's go ahead and start a new project and we'll work with the React project now and to see if it can create me a component for React. Okay, so I'm just going to hit the X button up here to close this. And actually let's close VS Code altogether and these two websites. And let's head to the React project here. So I'm going to open this one up in VS Code. And I'm going to get rid of everything that's in app.jsx here. And okay, I'm going to open up Cline here, and I'm going to say, I'm going to give it the same command to build that Pokemon landing page. Okay, so I basically said build a Pokemon landing page for a new game, same as we said before. But I mentioned here that it should create some components for it, which you can use in the app.jsx file, which is just the main file here. So let's run this. Okay, and it's giving us the same error it gave us before when we didn't choose a model. So I'm going to hit settings here, and for some reason it doesn't save the model that we set in the last when we opened up the last project here. So I'm going to set that again. I'm hoping it does save it this time, and it doesn't require us to choose the model every single time we open this up, because that would be annoying. So yeah, I'm going to hit save up here. And now let me restart this. Let me copy that before we restart it. Okay, and it looks like I clicked on the wrong one there. So we want this one where we're building with React and we're asking it to add in some components. And while this is running, up here at the top I noticed it has MCP servers, so I'm going to click on that and see what it is. I guess these are like tools it can use to write the code or to gain information. I'm not going to install any of them because I don't know what they do. But yeah, from watching videos about vibe coding, I've learned that MCP is basically how the model interacts with tools. So I guess these are the tools we can give it to use. I saw GitHub down here somewhere. It also has some AWS stuff here. Yeah, so if you wanted it to be able to integrate with any of these services, you just hit this MCP service here and install one of these, I guess. I'm not sure if they're free or not either. I'm guessing they're not. And yeah, let's see what it created for us so far. So it's reading some files here. It looks like it's going through our project and trying to figure out what everything is before it starts writing, which is a good sign. And yeah, it looks like we can create a new task from up here. Cline wants to create a new file, headers.jsx. So I'm going to save this. It looks like it had some error connecting to the AI there. I think that's just an error on OpenRouter's side. But I'm going to look at what it did here now. So it created this folder called components, and it created this file inside called header.jsx, and in there to put the header, or I think this is the navigation bar. Yeah, it looks like it has some links inside of it. So it created the navigation bar as its own component here called header. And let's head back and look at what it's doing now. Cline wants to execute this command, npm install. Okay, that's pretty cool. So it can recommend you commands to install dependencies into your project as well. So here it looks like it wants me to install a font. And yeah, that's pretty cool because one of the few things that I do use AI for when I'm coding something for real is to look for new repositories and libraries for my code to speed things up, or look for features that I can't code myself, it would take too long. So yeah, it's pretty cool that Cline can just install that for you and find packages for you to install. And by the way, while this is coding here, I noticed there's a checkpoint up here on each of the things it does. So if it did a step wrong here, you can actually stop it and then click restore here on a checkpoint, and it will undo the last piece of code that it did. So that's pretty cool. Cline wants to edit this file, app.css. So I'm going to save that. App.css is one of the default files in React. It's the CSS file that comes with your project when you create it. Okay, and again, Cline wants to edit app.css, so I'm going to approve this as well. Okay, and right here, I don't like this. It says npm run dev here, but it didn't prompt me to run that. It just ran it on its own here, which I didn't agree to. But okay, let's open up the server and see what it did. And it looks like there's nothing here, so I'm going to go back and say there's nothing displaying on the page. And I'm going to close this first, so Control C here. The main, okay, it looks like it's still running something here, so I'm going to wait for it to finish. But yeah, I think what it did is it created that file header.tsx and it added some stuff to app.css, but it never actually added anything into app.jsx, which is where the file starts from. So in here, there's nothing displaying. Let's see if it will catch that on its own. It's again telling me to run npm run dev. I'm going to say reject here. Okay, so I'm going to tell it there is nothing displaying on the main page when I open it. And I didn't mention anything about the app.jsx here. I just want to see if it catches that error on its own, or if it's just going to take us in a loop editing random files. So yeah, right here it's starting to edit app.jsx. Okay, and I'm going to hit approve here. So now it's given us something in app.jsx. And let me go see, because it says it's imported something from component/featured Pokemon and component/starter selection. But I've never seen it create those files up here. And yeah, it looks like those files are actually missing here. Oh, it's creating them right now. Okay, so I thought it just linked to random files that it didn't create yet. So let's let it finish. Oh, and up here while it's creating stuff, you see these blocks with different colors. If you hover above them, it will tell you what the model was doing at that time. So here for this one, it says it was reasoning. And it gives you an idea of what it was thinking here when it did the edits that it did. And yeah, these updates in real time to tell you what the model is doing. And now Cline wants to create that new file, starter selection, so I'm going to hit save. And now it should start creating the other component that it mentions here, featured Pokemon. Okay, and it looks like it's done, and it ran npm run dev again on its own without asking me. So I'm going to open up this link. And it's giving us an error here. Okay, so before I tell it about the error, up here what it's saying is it can't import these files. And I think the problem is, actually I'm not sure what the problem is here. Maybe it needs to add .jsx here. But yeah, let me just tell it, it's saying failed to import those components. Okay, and it's saying it wants to create a new file here, but I'm sure it has already created that file here. I'm just going to hit save here and see what it does. It looks like it's starting to mess up in my opinion. Let's test this out. Okay, so it actually works here, but it's only displaying on half the page. I'm not sure if they intended us to use it as an app like this. But yeah, I'm going to tell it it's only displaying on half the page. Can it fix that? Okay, it looks like it's still doing something here. I'm going to hit cancel and tell it. So while this is working, the features I liked here is that it asks us to approve everything before it does it. But the one thing I didn't like is that it ran the server up on its own. I didn't tell it to run the server, and it did that multiple times now. Also, while it's doing something, it just sort of continues on forever until you cancel it yourself or until it thinks it's done. And sometimes I want to give feedback to the AI in the middle of that, which I don't like, that it just keeps continuing. But yeah, other than that, it's a pretty cool tool, and I would give it like a 6 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10. It's definitely not perfect. I wouldn't use this if I was actually making something myself. But yeah, let's hit save here, and it's probably done with this project. and it added more stuff to the CSS file. But see, this is what I don't like. I asked it one thing up here, and then it made like 3 different edits in that time without me asking it anything else in between. So I don't like that it does that, because it gives me less control over what I'm building here. And for some reason it seems to be editing the same file over and over again. So I'm going to hit save there. It edited app.css 4 times so far in a row. I'm going to hit save here again. Once more it edited the same file, app.css. I'm just wondering if it might be the AI model that I chose to use this with that's giving us errors here. It's just not smart enough maybe. But I'm using DeepSeek R1, so it should be pretty good at coding. Okay, so down here it's asking us to edit app.css again. I'm going to hit save here, but after that I'm going to cancel whatever it's doing. We've edited app.css about 7 times here, maybe even close to 10 times. And I'm just going to see what it created so far, because I think it's just stuck in a loop right now. Okay, so I'm going to consider this the final project. I don't want it to continue editing that file forever. Yeah, it honestly doesn't look that good in my opinion. It could have centered things and added some stuff around each item to make it like a card or something. Yeah, the design is really bad. But honestly, it wasn't done, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt there. It might have kept adding stuff if I let it run forever. But it looked like it was stuck in a loop there, because it kept editing the same file over and over again, and it's close to 10 times now that it's edited this app.css file. Yeah, and it was pretty boring to just sit here and watch this thing code for me. But I guess if you're just building a small project, Cline is fine. In my opinion, I wouldn't use this in a real project. Because yeah, it didn't give me enough control over what it was doing here, and it ran like 10 different commands each time I asked it to do one thing for me. Yeah, in my honest opinion, I'll give this a 6 or a 7 out of 10. I don't think I would ever use it again. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments, but for this video I think this is it. I'm not going to ask it to do anything else. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.